everyone. Welcome back to the Acta Number podcast. Today, I'm joined by Chris Sorg, an ADHD coach for entrepreneurs who helps founders turn their ADHD into a superpower. Chris specializes in systemizing processes, creating clarity, and helping entrepreneurs buy back their time so they can focus on what truly matters, aka growing their business. Today, we're diving deep into something that really is so near and dear to my heart because I too have ADHD. So, we're going to dive deep into ADHD and entrepreneurship, how it shapes the way we work, the struggles we face, the strategies that we can actually use to help ourselves. So, if you have ADHD, if you ever felt overwhelmed by big ideas, ADHD or not, or struggled with follow through, or just found yourself in a cycle of destruction and burnout, then this episode is definitely for you.
Welcome to the Acta Number podcast. I'm Mitty, and here we'll talk about business, freelance, mindset, education, mental health, life, personal growth, and everything to help you overcome your fears, know yourself, and create the life and career of your dreams. Episodes in English and Spanish every week.
Chris, a few months ago, I wrote a blog post about why I thought that ADHD was actually my superpower. And I do the quote because sometimes it can be very debilitating, and you know that too. And people listening to us know that. But I was thinking about that blog post, and I remember that I started naming the people that I admire, the entrepreneurs that I admire: Mel Robbins, Bill Gates, Stephen Bartlett, Paris Hilton, Mr. Beast, Richard Branson, Walt Disney, Grace Beverly, and I could go on and on. These are all people with ADHD who started a business and it went wild. Now, Chris, you help ADHD entrepreneurs. Why do you think this turns us into good entrepreneurs?
If correctly managed and when you're following your passion, it's definitely advantage in business. And I think what all of these people have in common, they can focus. And the thing is, I'm also in the coaching at Dan Martell's coaching, and always saying, and focus is like follow one path until successful, as like an acronym, like for like focus. And I think a lot of these people have this in common. They have a passion and they get ruthless behind this passion and following their vision. And this is making you successful.
It is. And I do feel like that separates people with ADHD who actually get things done and those who do not. And it's probably because they lack either not the discipline, but maybe they received like a very late diagnosis like I did, and they didn't have the tools to navigate that, or they actually came out with the tools themselves like I did, but some people do not. And that's why I think that coaching is so important. And there's something that I want to say, if you want to first introduce yourself, because there's something I need to say about what you do for people listening.
I'm Chris. I'm originally from Germany. A friend of mine is calling me like the most German person he ever met. I don't agree with this, but probably yes. Probably he's right if I'm going a little bit deeper into these things. I'm living in Valencia, actually. So I left Germany because I think I need at least 300 Sundays per year. Valencia is offering this. So yeah, I went to Valencia last year and decided to make this my new home. And what am I doing? So I'm helping actually ADHD entrepreneurs to grow in life and their business, but not with. So I'm not doing this typical ADHD coaching and like looking at like what are your ADHD weaknesses. What I'm doing is like I'm walking with the people through their processes and their systems, if it's in their private life or in their business life. Because what I learned on my journey was most of the time the problem is that we're getting thrown off within our processes. Even though we're doing something we like, there is like this small step which is pulling us out of our focus because we have to, copy paste something from the left to the right. Then we're seeing an ad or something, and then we're going deep into this. So I had a coaching call yesterday, or I'm calling it more like mentoring call. I don't like the word coach, to be honest, even though I still have it in my Instagram name, but I need to change it. And she was saying after the meeting, like, you showed me problems that I even don't saw, but you offered directly the solution. And this is basically what I'm doing. I want to find these blind spots and make them open for people and showing them, hey, this is your problem. It's not your ADHD. You have like so much sparkle in your eyes and you have such a good vision and so much power, but you're lacking the little screws have to be tied up that you can perform like in the best possible way. And this is what I want to do. But this is what I'm doing with my clients.
Wow, man, that makes a lot of sense. And I look at it from my niche, which is marketing. And most of the I would say the best marketers and the best copywriters I've ever met, they all have ADHD. Some of them don't even know they have ADHD, but I'm like, it takes one to know another. And like, I feel like you have ADHD. And then they're like, yeah, I do have ADHD. And I've worked with Force 30 under 30 people, and they're like, behind closed doors, they're like, actually, I do have ADHD. Like, yeah, I knew that. I could smell that like a mile away. But now ADHD is often seen as a challenge. But I feel like that challenge is for the 9 to 5s. Now, for businesses, I would say that a well-managed ADHD is actually a unique strength because it allows you to naturally think outside the box. And what makes a winning business is being a visionary, having a vision, seeing something. The problem is seeing that through the end, which is, when you would come in and people who help other people with ADHD actually follow through. But I feel like there is a huge advantage, probably because we're prone to take more risks. We're prone to work harder. We have hyperfixations. We're very creative. What do you feel that are the advantages that we have that your typical entrepreneurs don't have when we're talking about entrepreneurship, not just in general?
Yeah, you said already like a lot of things. I think we can unleash a power and like a relentless drive towards the goals and vision we want to achieve if we are in this sweet spot, in like really the thing where we feel really good and we're following our passion. We can, I don't know why, develop such power. It's also sometimes it's like when you're looking at the people, it's like ridiculous. I don't want to like I'm not bragging with this or something, but I said at the beginning, like my friends calling me the most German person they met ever. Like I'm for example, for me it's like I'm getting up every morning at 4:30. I'm sitting directly on the laptop because I'm doing what I love to do, and having so much drive and can create content and deal with so many things. Because first of all, I have a well-managed ADHD. It took a long time to find like my path. I'm doing something that I love, and it's the speed and the power you can put behind the things. And as you said, the creativity. I don't know how it's for you, but also to connecting all the dots, like seeing the big picture, like this flying over the clouds. But like if you have to go into a detail, it's like bam, and you are down, and but you can zoom out. And these kind of abilities to connect things and also anticipate what will happen if I'm doing this. Like I always have it when I'm with other meetings, with other people in a meeting, and they discussing something, and then I'm coming up with something. And I saw this also for other ADHD people. They're coming up with something, and the other people are like, where's this coming from? And then they're thinking about it, and this makes sense. And these connections and these kind of things, it's beautiful. To be honest, also I will not. I don't want to miss it. I really love these abilities, and as you said, in this context of entrepreneurship, it's an advantage, 100%.
Yeah, it is an advantage for entrepreneurs. But on the flip side, I do think that there are a few struggles that we all face.
Yeah.
Now, sounds like you completely nailed it. I'm still trying to wake up at like 5 p.m., 5 a.m. I'm still failing. I'm like at 7. but no, I mean, something I do want to ask you is, so what do you feel are the biggest struggles, or not what do you feel, but like most people who come to you to get some help, what is the common denominator that you find between them that separates them from those who are actually achieving? Like, what is, if you had to, focus on
Yeah.
a single thing instead of being like, well, they're scattered all over the place, like they're not focusing. If there's one particular thing that you see across the board, what would you say that would be?
Shiny object syndrome. um, why? Because the thing is, I think there's also a common trait between ADHD people, and especially when ADHD entrepreneurs talking to each other, they have great ideas, and everything sounds like let's do this, and let's do this. And I'm seeing a lot of people that then want to start on 3 projects simultaneously. And that's the issue. This is what I said at the beginning, like focus, follow one path until you're successful. And if you scatter your attention to 3 different things, you're doing everything just with 33% and not one thing with 100%. And like you would have much more leverage if you just like going on the topic where you know, where your heart and your brain knows that's what I want to do. It's definitely this. And they have, also I'm teaching them always like, say no or write the ideas down, but be open, be like say also no to people, like it's hard. Also maybe one side course, because I had this also today. I'm talking super positive about ADHD because I found a way how to deal with it positively, but my life was not that good in the past, and there were like a lot of negative things, and I had like the full-fledged negative ADHD experience with depression and suicidal and so on. So like maybe also for like, I'm now super positive. I found the way I want to teach now the people. I want to show them a way, and I want to show them also like other angles, how they have to look at it and how they can leverage their strengths and cover their weaknesses. But I'm saying this from a position, I walk there a certain way. This maybe also for the people that are listening to us. Because I got called multiple times toxic positive, and I'm like, nah, I'm just want to teach my way here.
You've been there. I mean, just what you said, it's not like you had it easy. None of us actually did. I think we all went through deep shit. You can actually say bad words if you want to hear this podcast. Is like super free. But I feel like, yeah, and it's funny when you mentioned the shiny object syndrome, because I was actually I had it right. I wrote it down here, and I was thinking like, yeah, it's clarity, the lack of clarity and structure that we have, but it doesn't mean that we have that. In reality, it's just that we don't know how to manage it. Because if you think about it, everything you were saying before, like if you zoom out and you can see everything, that means we're very strategic. That means that we can actually also be very detail oriented. So that's like, it's really powerful to have those two traits running a business or whatever. But I feel like that is the issue, like focusing your attention, and especially for people who are running businesses, and I'm guilty of that too. It's like, oh, I have this idea. Oh, and I have this other idea. Like then you write it down, and then you have so many, and then you forgot what you wrote it down because you have, 20 planners, which is mad. And then you forget, and then you're like, no, actually, you know what? They're like, I don't know, it's like 3 a.m. and I'm awake, and I'm like, oh, I have this idea and this idea. Some of those ideas are not even for me, for clients, for friends. And I'm like, will you shut up? I need to sleep. So yeah, how do you handle that? Like when you have that thing, like, you have so many ideas, but you don't want to, like, yeah, you can write them down, but what if there are too many ideas and it just, there comes a point where you cannot function because it's like, if I have so many ideas, I don't have time to write them down, then like stop thinking about it and then go back to do my thing.
Yeah, what I learned it actually from the book Hyper Focus. It's a really good book. Like the first thing, when you have this problem that you cannot focus and you have to focus on the ideas, it's already like a good sign that your attentional space is full. So it means also like you giving your brain too much input. What I'm actually doing when I have these kind of things, I'm taking a break. If I'm realizing, hey, there are like things popping up, but it's like not, there are different kinds of like, in this book it's called scatter focus. You can like really connect dots and work creatively in your brain on ideas, or you have this thought popping up, but these random thoughts that are not, you cannot connect them to something. And for me there, it's really like stepping back, giving myself a break, like also then stop working, not forcing anything, because this is then also like where it's getting like hard, because you then at a certain point start to judge yourself. And most of the time, this is helping your brain to reset. The thing is, we have a limited attentional space, and if this is currently overloaded, you can't force yourself into something. And there, it's more about accepting. And what I learned, I'm not working 7 days per week. For me, like for example, every Thursday afternoon, I'm probably at the beach, and at 5 I'm going to play 2 hours paddle. Because I know like at Thursday afternoon, my energy is like completely. I don't have to do like anything. So it's like also work strategically with breaks and enjoying them and recharging. And then most of the time on the next day, you're sitting there and then like, oh yeah, my focus is back, and this scatter focus that I want to have because I want to do problem solving. And then like more like my brain is connecting the dots, and I'm like, this is the solution I was looking for the last couple of days.
You actually gave me an aha moment, because I'm like, I feel like I have that issue, and it's just because I'm always working, I'm always doing something. I'm always like, that's the problem when you have a business. There's always something to do. Like, oh, I will create content, I will improve my SEO, I will reach out to these potential clients, I will do the work, I will see if I can hire someone. There's always something to do. And especially if you're like a one person business, or you want to keep it at that, you know what it looks like. So you need to delegate, and that's something I actually want to go into more detail later. But talking about this, I feel like a potential way to actually solve this, other than of course also taking your breaks, which I'm guilty of that too. I don't actually enjoy my breaks. I'm not fully present when I'm in a break, because I'm like, no, but I should be working, you should be doing something, you don't enjoy them because you're like feeling guilty, which doesn't really make sense. But it's systems. People talk a lot about systems, but I feel like systems for neurotypicals are one thing, systems for people with ADHD are another thing. How do you feel about systems and how do you implement them if you do?
I love systems. Systems are the magic clue that is helping, or like not the clue, it's like the basis for like every ADHD entrepreneur to have a successful business. So point. And the thing is, with systems and smart processes, you can cover your weaknesses. And there are so many technology possibilities that you can automate certain things, but it's exactly, there's also a wrong perception of a lot of people with ADHD. They always think they have to work on their weaknesses. I honestly have to say, I don't care about my weaknesses. I'm finding technical solutions to automate these things, or I'm finding people, or I'm hiring people like freelancers. We're living like in a globalized economy. You can like get people all over the world. And if you can outsource certain tasks for like a certain amount and you still have a return on invest, if we're now going more into the finance topic, do it. The time, the mental capacity you are getting back, it's much more worth than, let's say, the $15 per hour you paid somebody to cut your videos, and then you're making, but the time that you're getting back and the mental clarity you're getting back are much more worth. And then also, like, if you're a talented person and you can make this free time also again to money because you can make more, that's what business is then at the end, also, like, if you're breaking it down about. And this is what I see a lot of people, because they're asking me, what about systems? I had this yesterday in the coaching call, because like she's also an ADHD coach from the US, and she was like, yeah, like everybody is always talking about systems. What are systems? And I was like, I'll show you a system. Then I showed her an automation that I built. What it's basically doing: when I'm on my way, I have a shortcut on my phone. I can record a voice message. This voice message is then sent to ChatGPT, is getting transcribed. So ChatGPT is writing my words into text, and this is getting stored in the taskboard. I have the same for content ideas. It's then also automatically sent to Airtable, sent to like a specific GPT assistant that I created that already is giving me back some content ideas on my idea, that I have like already a base that I can work on. And these kind of things, because most of the people, like, I have so many ideas, and then I'm writing them down everywhere, and then I'm like, yeah, you have your phone all the, like, when you're on the way, you can record it. You love to talk to this thing. So these kind of things. And she was like, now I understand what you mean with systems and processes. And she was like, yeah, my problem is always like, I want to create content, but then I don't have ideas. And when I have ideas, I have them in the car and I cannot like write them down or like something like this. So yeah, this is my approach about systems and processes.
Wow, I love the ChatGPT thing, because the other day I actually saw a video. Yeah, you can use shortcuts in your iPhone if you have iOS. I don't know if you could do that with Android. And then you can start like a voice GPT now that you have that, and you can train it to be your VA. And then the more, like, you can make like a literal brain dump at night before you go to bed, so you can go to bed and sleep. And then it'll automatically start when the alarm goes off. So you click, stop, and then ChatGPT will wake you up with the voice and be like, just reminding you of stuff. It's just, wow, that's so cool that we have this opportunity now with technology to do all of these things. And also, like you said, we always have the ability to delegate, but now delegation could be like, I don't know, could be scary for some people, because they're like micromanaging everything, or they're like maybe scared of something going wrong or whatever. What would you tell people when it comes to delegating?
When it comes to delegating, write them a playbook. Record what you are doing. Like, record down the exact steps that you are doing. Give it the person that she can do it like as you are doing it. Because this is a channel in the business world. We have also like a kind of big problem. We're giving tasks to other people and we're expecting them to understand them. But like, everybody is coming with a different kind of skill set. And you also have to look at the skill set of the person that you have like on the other side of the table. And as less skilled the person is, as more information she needs to successfully fulfill the task. It's like you're micromanaging at the end something because you didn't do a good handover. Because like, we ADHD people, we have like a lot of things up here, but it's like communicating them to somebody. But there again, we talked about like ChatGPT, for example. Now, it's not like you have to write a document. As when you see sometimes the chat that I have with ChatGPT and the bullet points where I'm like, this, and please format me this. I'm happy that ChatGPT is able to understand what I'm writing there, because I'm reading it sometimes and I'm like, what did I meant there? But like, it's about leveraging like technology for all of these kind of things. And when you then hire somebody and they are not delivering or not following your playbook, okay, then it's the wrong person. Like, you should fire more quickly than you hire people. But if you're giving the person everything the person needs in the format you like. Best thing is like also like recording something. If you're doing something, a tool, you're following steps, like make a video. There's Loom. There are so many tools out there. And then you can trust people. So I also have a virtual assistant. She's currently working like 15 hours per week for me. I wrote her a couple of playbooks for the things I need her for. She's following these things. I don't have to micromanage her. I'm getting once a day. She's sending me like, hey, these are the results. That's it. It's easy peasy. It's like just the preparation you have to put in, and not being like, hey, please do this for me, and have the idea how you want to have the result, but without communicating it. Because sometimes we also miss the part. Did we have it here, or did we communicate it to the other person?
You're absolutely right. It's just a mental piece in the end. It's just like it's so important, and that's how the good ideas come in, because you being the owner of the business, you're the person with the ideas. That way, you're just delegating the tasks that probably won't move the needle as much. I mean, they would, because of course you need the content, you need to know what's next, you need to have a BA. We all know that, but at the same time, it's like, oh, I'm freeing up this amount of space for my brain that I'm able to actually sit down and do the coaching, do the one-on-ones, or reach out to a client, hop on a call, or building a strategy, or thinking of ideas for my business. So it's like, yeah, the other day I was talking to a guy who's also like a coach, but he was in the military in the US, and he was like, I see the military does all of these things, and I see people, especially with like mom and pops shops. We're not talking like big businesses, because we know that in the digital space people do that. But he was surprised to see how like in-person businesses don't have these systems. Like they don't have tutorials, they don't have like a brief, they don't have like a brand voice. Those things that would take you literally like in a day, you can have it, and then you create it once, and then you can send it to the people who are working with you. So this is the brief, this is my brand voice, these are my brand colors, whatever. You have a brand guide, all of a sudden, then you just send the documents, and you can have the Loom videos, everything. You can walk them through, and you don't even need to sit down and onboard them. They can onboard themselves at their own time and pace. So I love that you said that. Now, I do want to ask you this. So from the people that you usually work with, what is the first system or process that you feel they could set in place to make their lives easier, whether they're an entrepreneur or not?
The first thing what I'm talking a lot with people about, it's not actually a system, it's more a kind of a framework. Because what I'm realizing for a lot of people is they they have false beliefs in themselves, in everything what is happening to them. So they're walking around with a lot of beliefs. And in my opinion, 99% of these beliefs are wrong. So I'm giving them at the beginning, most of the time, a couple of questions. One of them is basically, is this belief true? Like, just ask yourself, is this true what you're telling yourself? Then they're most of the time like, no, it's not. It's something that I'm telling myself, And the second thing also is then like the second question I like there to ask is like, what needs to be true? So what needs to be true for you to fulfill your dream, your vision, your passion? So shifting this from like really challenging the beliefs and being like, hey, this is actually not true, to what do I need to get started? Like, this is the first thing, because you have a lot of people, these typical ADHD traits, like imposter syndrome, I cannot do this, or like also like a lot of listening to opinions from other people. Where I also have to say, like, the only person you have to make proud is your future self, period. This is how I'm living my life. Like, I have to make my future self proud, because like also with this kind of mindset, you will living a much more happier life, and you make the people around you happy, So I'm starting on this level, and then it's really getting into like checking their kind of workflow. So what are they doing? Where are they struggling with? Is it more like in the content kind of vibe? So I'm not giving them a brand or content strategy, but what I told you, like if they're showing me like, yeah, I'm storing my ideas always here, and then I want to produce, and then there I have the break, then I'm like, yeah, okay, let's streamline this a bit. I have like a matrix which I'm always using, where I'm really sitting down with them. It's sometimes a little bit annoying for ADHD people, but like really write down your process steps. I want to know the process steps that you're doing. And then I want to know what is your desired outcome and what is currently the problem. Because with this, it's getting like visualized. And then they're also like, then we could do this and this, and you're getting them out of this. In Germany, we have a saying like, okay, you don't see the forest because of all of the trees, I don't know if this is like also a common international thing, but then they're zooming a bit out and they're seeing this breakdown. They're like, yeah, I would like this. And then I'm showing them like, look, this is technology and this we can use to make like this and this. And then they're coming up with ideas. And a lot of things in ADHD and people with ADHD is like, you need to have to create a small momentum, a small win, like the giving this short initial lighting up thing. And then like from the coaching call yesterday, I got today a list. Hey, I checked this and this things, and I also checked the tool, and I was already like, I made this little automation, like within one day. And then she was like, oh, this is already freeing up like freed up an hour today. Like, yeah, that's exactly the things. It's sometimes not that much that has to be done. It's like just on the looking at the right spots.
What you said about the discipline, I was just thinking the German. I was thinking in my head like German discipline. German, this guy's like the epitome of like German discipline. But no, I do feel that also that culturally it does help you a little bit. Maybe I don't know if you feel that something in your culture helped you become more disciplined. For example, I'm from Argentina. Here, people are like, it's kind of like in Spain, very similar in the sense like people, if you hang out with friends, they're all gonna be late. Like they're all gonna be late. And then you want to go out for dinner. There's no dinner at like 7. That doesn't exist here. So everything starts like late. And that's like sometimes I'm like, I mean, I'm a digital nomad. I could leave anywhere, and I'm actually about to move to Europe. And I'm like, I can't wait to move out because culturally I feel like a misfit because I'm like, yeah, I want to be up at like 5 a.m. And then you hang out with friends and they're like, their schedule is all over the place. It's like, yeah, well, no, just it doesn't work. But do you feel like the nature versus nurture thing is a thing also in ADHD? Because yeah, I mean, I have ADHD. I do have this issue, and I'm saying it between quotes because I'm like, it's not actually an issue. It's what made me a good copywriter and a good marketer. But at the same time, it's like it's harder for me to build that momentum. And whenever I feel like I'm actually doing that, it's when I disappear. When I'm like saying no a lot, and I go from having a social life to like not seeing anyone. But yeah, I have a lot of momentum and I'm doing a lot of things, but I have no social life. How do you combine the two? How do you say no and how do you have a life at the same time?
Yeah, so maybe back to the cultural thing. I would not call it a cultural thing. I would call it a grandpa and growing up on a farm. And even though I came home at 5 from the club, I had to be awake at 6:30. So like I'm probably conditioned. But yeah, we also have a kind of cultural difference because I'm also a lot of people asking me like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, I'm just doing it. Like what there is no secret. If I'm opening my eyes at 4:30, I'm getting up. If I'm tired at 9, I'm going to bed, like it's like just doing it. Like I don't know. But now I forgot the other question. Finally, we have like there 80 oh no, you mentioned
ADHD
social
moment.
life. Yeah,
No, how do
I
you
was
combine having a social life with trying to, stick to what you have to do? Because you said, yeah, you need to say no a lot, and I agree with you. The biggest shifts in my life, I saw them when I started saying no, but that turned me into like a ghost. Like I would just disappear because it's easier. And this is funny. Can you see that thing over there?
yeah.
I don't actually own anything. I'm just like renting an Airbnb because I don't want to own things because I want to move out. But I found this here and I'm like, memento mori. I'm just going to have it there, always looking at me. Like that's because discipline is hard for us. So you need constant reminders. I see that you have a lot of tattoos. I'm like, probably reminders. I don't know. But for me, it's like the rings are reminders.
Yeah, everything is following a storyline on my body. What with the tattoos, and there are like a couple of also optical reminders from philosophy and so on. Definitely, a super tip for ADHD people: make things visible. Our brain is not made to hold information. Our brain is made to process information, and you can see it blurred here. This is my goal roadmap for 2025. So every day I'm going in the morning on my desk. I'm looking at my goals, and I'm like that. I'm getting this locked in feeling.
Yeah, I have too, over there.
Perfect. I have on my phone from my coaching, we have there 5 daily non-negotiables. They are like the screensaver of my phone. It's just these, as you said, these optical reminders, because we are good in also shifting our attention back to the things we have to do. But it's like if we're shifting our attention somewhere else, and then we have this optical reminder, let's say like I'm shifting to here and I have written here, hey, my intention for today was like creating my ADHD community further. It's like, you're right. And you're getting back and you're doing this the next day and the next day. And you're always training your brain like just a bit. Also, people don't realize, treat your brain like every muscle. Like if you're going to the gym, your brain has to be also, it's not like people sometimes also think, oh, this person told me a fix, I'm trying it for one day, and then on the next day everything is perfect. This is like not how it's working at all.
No, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a little. That's how you build muscle. You tear the muscle up, and then you also have to nourish it, which I think is very related to what you said about enjoying your free time and actually being present there, so you can refill your cup, because you're going to be emptying from it. If you're working, helping others, or doing whatever, you need to fill that up. But coming back to the initial question, it's like,
Yeah.
how do you handle the social life and the saying and the no saying and working and all of that?
I honestly, I'm a bit the same, but I told also my friends. So I'm super honest with the ADHD and also with the traits, and I'm also quite communicative in like what is my space and what do I need. And some of my people also know like, hey, we can have like 2 months where we're basically spending every day together, but there will be also a time where you don't see me for 2 months because I'm in a creation mode, and then I'm like, I'm going in the gym in the morning to the gym, and then I'm just working on my things. But yeah, I have like some weekly like kind of rituals. So with a really good friend, we both playing paddle, so we have 2 times training together per week. On the weekend, most of the time or on Fridays, I'm doing a co-working with a couple of friends. So there's always um, some interaction with friends. And what I'm doing is I'm planning my things a little bit out, like my energy is. For example, like, hey, from Monday to Wednesday, I'm full of energy, and I don't want to waste this energy on. I don't waste sounds hard, but the thing is, like, I have so much creative focus and space, and I'm protecting this. Like, it's all about protecting like your energy and your mental capacities. And then, like, for example, on Fridays afternoon, I'm not doing that much anymore on a Friday afternoon. Like everybody's getting tired. I'm meeting with friends. We're doing a bit of co-working. It's just our socializing event. Then I'm playing like paddle with a friend. Then we most of the time having dinner. Then I like to work on the weekends in the morning. Then afternoon maybe co-working with another friend. So yeah, but they know there will be also phases where I'm like, hey, I will not join. Like I'm completely locked into my thing currently. I have here a couple of ideas. I need to get up at 4 in the morning and have to be like, I want to do this. And it's all about also communicating, because the biggest problem what I see also for a lot of people is the people around you don't understand you. They don't understand what is going on in your head. They don't understand that you can have this sometimes, yeah, this pure, I'm now doing this, and you don't want to see anybody. It's not even like they sometimes seeing it as like a negative thing or you don't like them. I'm like, no, this has nothing to do with you. So I'm got super communicative about this to everybody. My parents never understood me. I wrote an ebook last year about like ADHD in grown up people, and that families can understand it. Basically, that my family can understand it. They wrote it, and then they were like, oh, now we understand it. So I was like, okay, if you don't understand it, I'm writing it down for you on 45 pages. Here you have it. Um, but this is helping. This improves my relationships a lot. Like that people just know I'm that kind of person. And sometimes also like, I love to roast people, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, this was like a mean joke. But like also like these kind of things, like all of my best friends, they know it. They love me for this, but they also know sometimes, okay, they will not hear anything 3 weeks from me. Even though my parents, they know they have to call me, and they know this is the funny thing. When I'm not calling them, they know I'm super fine. So you have to find your way with also your people around
Yeah,
you, and be
I
honest
need
and
that
open.
link. I need to send that book to my mom.
I can send you. I also have like an English version. I probably have to rework it a little bit, but it was really about more like that they understand a bit like this struggle. It's this kind of I got a diagnosis as a child already, maybe to make a little excursion into this thing. But they told me this is going over when you like grow up, and then I got my school got normal. I was getting good grades, and everybody thought my ADHD is over. But this was the point when things shifted from like a hyperactive running around boy to that this fucker up here was never quiet. And these kind of things. But because this were people were not understanding, also my family or somebody, when I'm sitting there and just zooming out and they're like, hey, well, everything okay with you? And they don't understand that I'm like, I'm in another galaxy. Just leave me. Like, I'm here on my own side quest. Please leave me. There could be something wonderful at the end of one of the 28 train tracks that I'm currently running through. So,
I totally
um,
feel you. Yeah, it's
and this is
like,
also
leave
why,
me in my zone
yeah,
out, please.
yeah, and as a last thing, this is also why I started with this mentoring and kind of thing. It was all born out of the thing. I never got the help that I wanted or that I wished to have. I never got the understanding, but also like the resources were not there. Like when I was a child, like nobody understood this thing. Like it's also like a generation of people that still think this is like a made up thing by the pharma industry and so on. So yeah, I'm just then taking actions and being like, you don't understand it. Here, read this, and then they're like, oh. So my dad even was like sorry, and I was like, you don't have to be sorry, like it's fine, but I just wanted to give you a clear understanding of that's it, and that you can understand why I'm the way I am.
Yeah, and sometimes they won't understand it, and when they don't, I have a very funny way to deal with people who don't get it. I'm like, do you want a tinfoil hat? Like, I explain to you what it is, and they're like, no, that's in your head. We all have a little bit of ADHD. Like, no. Do you want a tinfoil hat? Do you want it? Take it.
Yeah.
But now you've given me something that I can't let go here, because you seem like someone who's done a lot and has also been through a lot. So if you would like to share, of course, what would I
Yep.
need to know about the Chris standing here today to understand what he's been through, to know how he managed to be here? Because you seem like there's more to the story that we're missing. If you want to share, of course. But I would like to know more about you, like what things changed your life, what things helped you transform your life. How did you end up here? Did you also started your own business before doing this, and then you're like, this is why I want to coach? Like, if I could hear your story.
So yeah, as I told you, like there were like a lot of like kind of as a child, I was also like always like I never had friends. I was always the tallest, but back in the days it was not cool to be tall. Now everybody's looking at you, oh my god, you're 2 meters tall. So it started already there. Never really had friends. Then also my youth never had friends. Always were quite lonely. Then my best friend killed himself. Broke up with my fiance 3 weeks before the wedding. Then got depressed, like the suicidal part and so on. So there were like a lot of like events, but all because of like undiagnosed ADHD. Like I could, also like a lot of events that happened, or like also like a lot of things that, for example, let's take the breakup. The thing is, how I found out it's still ADHD is, there was a YouTube video in my algorithm, pushed a YouTube video, and it was like ADHD in grown-up people. And I was watching the video and I was like, motherfucker, this explains the last 16 years, and this was the turning point, because I understood what I have to not fight against it, but what is it? Like I tried always to be like the best version of myself, but there was always something like pulling me kind of back. And the problem is, when I know what I have to work on or what I have to fight against, I'm getting into this kind of mode. Okay, let's do it. And then what I did, I just was sitting down a lot of with myself. I got like also like super interested in as a philosophy. I have like a lot of the Stoic mindset tattooed on my whole body. But I was really fighting every fight with every demon I had in my head. And I was like, it almost broke me. I have to admit. It's not for the people listening, this is not a healthy way. Get help and stop being like I was at this time, I was not a masculine or toxic asshole or something, but I could also have talked to some people, but I set myself at the edge. I made it through this. And then I realized, I found my spark back, and then I was like, what are the things you are good at? And was starting to shift my mindset. And we're trying a lot of things, and we're working on myself, tried out things, some things worked out, other not. I also changed then like my nutrition, my whole lifestyle and this kind of thing. Left Berlin, like really, I made a list, like what are things that are triggering my ADHD, for example, and got more and more like relentless on these things. And we're like, needs to be cut it out of my life, needs to be cut it out of my life. Germany was also not the best spot for me to be in. So I'm moving to Spain. And yeah, this is why I'm now here. And like, I don't know, since 1 year, I'm waking up every day super happy, as a really super happy. And I think based on the story a bit, there's not that much anymore in the world which can take this away. And one big learning also for the people, you need to focus on the things that you can control. And you are the only person who knows what are the things that you can control. Everything which you can't control, don't give a fuck. Honestly, don't give a fuck. If you can change it, don't care about it. Sounds again super easy. It was a lot of training, but I'm now at this point, and it's like if things are happening and I'm like, I was the best version of myself, things didn't work out. Okay, cool. We're waking up tomorrow and we're continuing.
I love what you said about, thank you for sharing that, by the way. That you said like, yeah, I'm waking up tomorrow. And I always think like, if I had a really bad day, I'm like, thank goodness this day's never gonna happen again. I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm gonna close my eyes, and when I wake up, it'll be another day. Like, this day's over. It won't get worse than this. And it usually never does. I mean, yes, things can be worse always, but if you've been through something like that changed your life, which happened to
Yeah.
many of us, it's like, okay, I went through this. And I came back stronger. Okay, cool. And I learned a few things. So it's like, yeah, you take and it's not, I also feel like that's not toxic positivity. It's just being realistic. It's like, okay, I learned this from this mistake. I learned this from this,
Yeah.
this issue that I've been through that changed my life. That was super sad, whatever. And then, okay, now I'm stronger. Now I learned. And now I know who I can trust, because then in the meantime, you see the people who are, who stick with you, who help you out. And so it just makes you stronger. So, but yeah, now I want to ask you something, and maybe this is something that helped you out when you started realizing that, yeah, ADHD, although you received your diagnosis at a young age, you probably with time forgot that you have it, and you're like, oh, as an adult, yeah, this doesn't go away. This is a forever thing. So what are some productivity, because it's just like there's so many productivity tips out there, like you're just like, and so many books, but what
Yeah.
actually you feel works for you? Because maybe what works for me doesn't work for you.
It's a mix of things. There is not one go-to thing. So on the really good days, what is happening, what I'm doing every morning is like I'm writing down 3 intentions for the day. Because the thing is, a prerequisite for like you to be able to hyper-focus is intentions. Like the status of flow or hyper-focus, or like that you can really like dive into a topic, is never coming like just magically around the corner and you're like, oh my God, I can focus. So like intentions are super important. If these things are not working and I'm like in a task paralysis, or I'm in the analyzing paralysis, or in the overthinking paralysis, again, I'm going back to technology. I have an own GPT, for example, which is just there if I want to do something and I can start, that is really like breaking down for me. Like I'm saying, like I want to do this, and it's breaking it down on like really 2-minute task level. And then I'm sometimes sitting there, okay, let's open Google Slides. Let's write the headline. And then I'm like, oh, now I'm listening to a song, and I'm doing this for like with 3 tasks, and then I'm like, and then you have this kind of momentum thing. On some days I'm working with other people together, because it's more like, yeah, today if I'm working with these people, I need creative work. This is a good kind of thing. So it's always like the mix you need. I'm always saying, like, equip your toolbox. Like you need a good toolbox that you can take out the right tool at the right moment. Like for like this productivity kind of thing, for like your mind, like everything. This kind of thing, like a good handyman, you have everything with you in your van, and then like you can pull the things out and be like, okay, today I have this. This issues, maybe I can start, or I'm over analyzing things. And then it's also like, it's always about breaking the cycle. And back to the other point we had, implement optical reminders in your, like, that you always know, like when you're looking at something, right, breaking the cycle. It's all about breaking the cycle. And then using technology, using people. I can just really, for ADHD entrepreneurs, learn as much as possible about AI, automations, and these kind of things, and leverage it. It can give you so much power and so much time back, that you can focus really on the things you love to do. It's ridiculous. It's really, also like the access we have to it.
Yeah, it's a game changer. At least it was for me. And now you've given me a great idea. I'm actually going to go back to this episode, and I'm just going to take down notes. And I feel like you must have like a good prompt for everything. I'm just curious, in your coaching, do you provide prompts as well?
So I'm also like there. Sometimes when I'm reading people and they're complaining that they're using ChatGPT, but the results are not good, I'm like, shit, send me your prompt, please. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, but this is also about like experimenting with like ChatGPT. And the thing is, you even have GPTs that are refining your prompts to make them better. Like you have basically, for like you can use a GPT to solve the other problem. And then like if you're then getting into automations, you can make a chain of like assistants. Like one is doing this, the other one is doing this, and you can really get great results. And this is why I love to do these things, especially for like task breaking down, helping me with outlining things or brainstorming, like kind of things. But yeah, it's like if you're writing bad prompts, there is a prompt GPT, which is also quite good. Send your bad prompt in there, and you will already get a better one, and you have probably 50% better results, and then you can still refine the kind of things. But I also had to learn, it's an AI. It's not a human person, because some people like texting them, basically they text their friend, and then it's like, no, it needs clear instructions what you want to have. It cannot read between the lines. This is like, what you're saying, it will do. And then it will interpret a couple of things. But if you like, it's like the same what we had with, if you can treat it like if you would hire a person. Like if you want to have like the AI helping you like in a certain way, make sure to give as much as possible information to the AI to get the desired result. If you're just making a one-liner and expecting that this thing is basically writing your doctor thesis, it's like, yeah, no.
No, not gonna work like that. But I'm gonna challenge you a little bit. It can read between the lines, but I'm gonna tell you why. Now, I'm also autistic, and
Yeah.
I can't read between the lines, obviously. And so I created my own human translator to be like, what are this person's intentions? And it actually, it's so good because it saves you so much time when you're like, what does this person mean by this? Because you take it all so fucking literally that you're like, I don't understand. And then you run it through the chat GPT and it's so great. And another idea that I had when you said, and I want to ask you about this. So you said that you started it with an intention. So what's an intention for you? Is that a goal, or is it like intention today being more positive, or being like, no, achieving this specific goal, like numbers, metrics, like your SMART goal type thing?
I'm basically following a system there. Sorry.
There's a system for the system. I
There's
love
a
that
system for
though.
the system. No, so how I'm breaking this down. I have a crystal clear vision where I want to go. I have like also the things, as I have like my long-term things where I want to go, and my breakdown then is like also I have a couple of daily activities that I'm doing on a daily basis because I know they will pay into like my long kind of goal, like this is the first thing how I'm approaching these things. Like your daily actions have to be aligned, because like you're not reaching any goals by writing them on like a nice, like this is not, it's cool, I'm seeing it, but I'm aligning my actions by my intentions. I'm splitting them between work and not work things. The not work things are like meditating, for example. I'm every day reading or listening at least like 20 minutes to like Audible, like an audiobook or something, like a non-fiction, like getting some like new kind of input. And for the work things, I'm clearly saying like, I don't know, today I want to have by the end of the day a pro and con list with, I don't know, community I should use for my entrepreneur community, for example, So this is how I'm doing it, but always aligned to like what is the big goal. So I'm always like checking this in the morning. I'm also reviewing my goals multiple times per day, 2 to 3 times, just to always have this stay on track, bro. Nice shiny object. No. We are staying locked in, yeah. And it's like, it's a training process. It's like always bringing like your attention back to where you want to go.
Yeah, I love that. No, I love that you have a system for everything. It's just that I realize that I do have them, but they're more all over the place. It's like they're not so clear. But I was thinking, because it's just like, okay, what's my priority? You don't even know what the priority is. So I was thinking, maybe a good idea, as you were talking, I was like, I should create a prompt so it can tell me my priority based on my main goal. Because yeah, like you said, you're on many side quests, and I have many, but I'm like, I don't want to let them go. Not all of them, of course, but some of them are like, I just want to keep this one. I like this side quest sometimes, so they're just going around there. But that would be cool to like have that. And I don't know if you've ever tried it, or if you feel that that would help.
100%. Yeah, I already programmed the GPT for this. Like I was writing over Christmas. I made like a video series about like a goal crushing series, like how you actually can approach your goals with ADHD. And part of this was also like that you can use a GPT where you're saying this is my big goal, and it's keeping you aligned and breaking down the things you have to do.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because you're also right. The thing is, we need sometimes these things to pulling us back on the way that we want to go. Like it's nice. I also have a lot of ideas, but I'm just writing them down. Like I have like my automation on my phone, which is super cool, which is helping me to keep the things. I'm reviewing them sometimes, like to be more like cool idea. It's coming into like a kind of backlog thing. But I'm getting them out of my head, which is the most important thing, because otherwise they're always popping up like again. Or as you said, using when you feel like, hey, things are not working, or like I'm not don't know what to prioritize on. Yeah, just ask the AI. And what you also said, like with like back to the reading between the lines, I think I meant it more like if you're putting in like input, that is bad, but what you are using it for analyzing human text, I'm with you, because the good thing, but still there, the AI is basically just looking at it, from a super unemotional point of view, which can be super helpful because like I'm the same with you. So I have the ADHD with an autistic part and with this what is the other thing like where you can't read and dyslexia?
Dyslexia?
Yeah, exactly. There is a little bit of this in, and I don't know. After like I got another diagnosis as a few years ago, also a couple of other things, but I'm like, uh, because sometimes I'm also have the same. I'm like, what does the person mean? And ChatGPT, can you please like give me because it's like this. You may be reading emotions into something where there are not emotions. This sounds also now super cold, but it's giving you back again your free because otherwise you would be like, as normally the person is writing the sentences like this, but this time she used different words and there was no smiley, like these kind of thoughts, for example, and they are like they are like cold machines sometimes because they're like, this is a friendly message, this is a distance message, and you're like, thanks.
I totally get you because no, it doesn't sound, at least not to me, and for the people listening, please, this is not cold at all. No, it's just that when you have autism, you don't like when you're autistic, not have because you're born autistic. You don't have those social capacities to like see. Yeah, you can like, and that's actually the reason why I started starting writing, copywriting, marketing, because I started studying a lot of human psychology without knowing that I had that I was autistic. Because I was like, but why? It's just I never understand. Like every time I want to achieve something, let's say there was a guy I liked, he never knew. Then there's the guy I don't like. He thinks I'm into him because he thinks I'm flirting. I'm not being flirty. It's just like it's always getting in the wrong way. And then with clients, it's like, oh, are they mad at me? They didn't use the smiley face, and I overuse the emojis because of that. Because I'm like, I would like people to actually convey that in the message because I cannot read your intentions. I don't know if you're angry at me. I don't know if you're like happy. I don't know if you like me. I don't know if you hate me. It's just let's use ChatGPT. Unfortunately, in the real life, like face to face, you can't use it, but you can like maybe teach yourself like how to read facial cues and stuff like that. It just sounds so robotic, but for some of us, it's just the only way through. But now,
I want to underline this. Wait, you said like, sorry, I have to step in because you said something wrong, and I think this can be super valuable also to the people listening to this episode. The thing is, like, as you said, we're struggling with some social cues. The thing is, if I'm going into a room, I can read the emotions of everybody. I can anticipate. I read the situation. I smell the situation, no problem. But if somebody is texting me something, I'm like, does the person hate me? What is you texting? And as you said, like, using the technology also there to understand these things because it's every piece of information you're getting is learning, and it's helping us also, like it's giving your brain peace back because otherwise you're getting in an overthinking spiral and you're like, the person sent you like 5 words and you're thinking like, does the person want to marry me? Does the person hates me? Did I do something wrong? And basically she was like saying like, yeah, I will reach out to you later. They're like, it's a clear statement that we're processing sometimes like, so maybe sounds for some people a little bit, I don't want to call it weird, but like use technology also to learn in this kind of things because sometimes it's just hard, and use whatever you can use to learn and grow.
100%, 100%. Use every tool that you have available. Now we have so many tools. Like, why wouldn't you use them? But now, real talk, and I could really, really use your. This will be a little selfish, but I feel like I'm not the only person who has this issue listening to this podcast. Today, I didn't get much done because I knew that I had this goal. But it's not because of you. It's not your fault. Every time I have a call, whether that's a podcast, a client call, a catch up, anything, or someone has to come home, I'm like in freeze mode. I'm like, okay, I have this thing today. Okay, any other person would just like go through their day and be like, okay, yeah, well, I'll do this, I'll do that, but like I can't. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can do a few things. So like I'm just like sitting there all day, but it's just I'm so like I'm just so like locked into like, oh, I have to do this. I need to be in this mental space because this is going to happen, and it usually happens more often with calls. Do you feel other people have this issue? And if so, what are some tips that they can implement? And this is just me asking for help, probably.
The thing is, I would like to have so I know what you mean. So I totally get what you mean, but for me, it's like I have since a couple of months the luck that I don't know. I have so many calls that I'm even not getting into this because you're jumping from topic to topic to topic. But it's like you cannot freeze, because you have to be kind of present. This is for me, but yeah, it's also it comes everything down to like it's actually a good question. What would be my one kind of tip? it's also like this recentering to the things that have to be done, writing them down, having clear intention what you want today, but also planning maybe some kind of downtime, like towards like the meeting or the thing is happening, so that you're not rushing into like a full day and then like oh, now this is this, and you go in with a wrong mood into this. But maybe say for yourself quite clearly, hey, we have now these intentions for this period of time, we're working on this, and then give yourself like a little bit downtime that you can recharge and do something which is actually helping you to recharge. And if it's not working, stop forcing yourself into, I have to do something, I have to do something, I have to do something, because then you will not do anything, basically. And it's a lot about like also doing things without guilt. If like your brain resists, like, okay, give it a brain, think about this. But also then we are back into like this kind of thing, challenge the beliefs you have, like, because it's like also somehow like a thing that like, oh, I have this call, and like there is something, like ask yourself, like, is this true? Like just this again, like getting you out of this, is this true? And what needs to be happen for myself to be like more chilled towards days like this? And then most of the time for me, things are popping up and I'm like, I would need this. Okay, how can we do this? Can I just do this and I'm putting energy into a certain task? Can I buy it with money? But like if I know there's a certain thing and I can fix it on a certain way, or I know somebody to fix it if it's like another problem, going for it. It's always like challenge this inner thought. It's like really, because as more you're thinking about this, you're realizing about so many things like, yeah, like it's not true. I don't know where this is coming from. And then you can mark it and you can put it into a box. And the thing is, if it like something pops up, you're like, no, you are already labeled, so you're getting directly in the box. Thank you. Worked through you. I know what you want. We're not dealing with this.
Yeah, I think it's just the overthinking of it all, like especially if it's like a client call. But I feel like this is an issue that many people with ADHD have, because I mean I have many friends with ADHD and they all struggle with the same thing. Some of them not, especially the chatty ones. They just love the calls. But people with autism and ADHD, oof, we just hate calls. One thing that helped me is just using Loom. Sometimes, I'm a huge fan of like, this could have been an email. Like in businesses, most things could be an email, but for you, you're coaching, I suppose you must be on calls every single day, or at least very often. And now I'm thinking, okay, so when I asked you, you said that before you did have a few issues with this, and then you started doing it. So it sounds to me like you started exposing yourself to it until you developed your own way to deal with it, and now it's not such a big deal. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. So what I meant, I have like a lot of calls, because the thing is currently next to the ADHD coaching, I still have a management consulting company and doing finance implementation projects in big companies. This is where the calls are coming from, because I need to balance out a couple of things. But yeah, like the saying to this is basically like confidence grows with actions, and this counts for everybody. Like you need to do the things. You have to expose yourself to things you don't like. Um, and you can start this with a friend. It's not about like going on a networking event and be like, yes, here I am. What do you want? It's more like, I don't know, if you're invited to a friend's dinner and they're like, talk to a stranger, ask like, hey, what is exciting you? Like this is also like a good thing. Like listen to people, what other people love, and what is a good thing that people with ADHD or autism can use. People love to talk about themselves. Have 1, 2, 3 icebreaker questions and let them talk. And then listen, take one of these pieces of information, ask a follow-up question. The thing is, they will find you super cool. Oh, this is such a great person, because like you asked that many questions. They have a good feeling because they talked a lot, and you were basically sitting there and like, I talked 50 words, didn't have to talk the whole time. I got a lot of information. This is also the thing. We can process a lot of information. We can be also like, oh, cool. Got a lot about information about you, how I can use as a not against you, but like maybe you're like a warm lead, a cold lead. Like if you're talking like again about the business things, maybe, okay, you have this problem. I know somebody, but it's like a win-win situation. But you're getting also more and more confident to just asking questions. And the good thing is, let people talk. 99% of the people love talking. They love talking about themselves. Give them this. And they will find you like cool, and they will be at such a sympathetic person. She's such a good person. It's so cool, and then you basically ask 3 questions, well, let them talking 45 minutes, and then you're going out there and like, I survived this quite good. A lot of things I didn't need to know, but I'm feeling good now.
Yeah, and it helps you because it also turns you into a good listener at the same time. So that's a good one. What's a good icebreaker that you use for businesses?
I'm asking like, this is the cool people because you can trick people a little bit. It's just like, hey, yeah, I'm Chris. How are you? And then like, what is currently exciting you? Because then they are like, what does he mean? Is it business? Is it like, and then because they're asking, what do you mean? I'm like, what excites you? I don't care if you're talking about business now, or if you want to come with your standard business pitch. I'm also a bit like a direct person, and I'm like, you can pitch your business if like privately something exciting, you share it with me, you know. And then they start to kind of talk because we are dopamine driven. And what is not giving us dopamine is asking somebody like, hey, how are you? Hey, why are you here? Like, if somebody's asking me this, I'm feeling in the inside, I'm like, I'm on a business networking event. I'm basically here to get a new recipe for pizza. For what am I here? Network. You know, like this is how my brain reacts to this kind of thing. So I'm trying to initiate then more conversations where you actually can have a conversation with a person, and also like you're getting a feeling of the person, you know, like if like they're like everybody's like excited to just talking about business, I'm like, cool, right click saved, that's it. But sometimes you have people, they open up, they're telling you a story, and then you're like, oh, this is so cool, I did this, and then you're ending up and having a 3 hour conversation, like really deep, like you're feeling good, you're going energized out of this, and not like after 6 times, hey, my name is XYZ, I'm from there, I'm helping companies to do this, and you, I'm helping a company to do this, and I'm like, okay, cool. Heard this already the 5th time tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not a fan of like asking like questions like this to get to know people, because it helps me also to sort out, um, does it make sense to strengthen the relationship there, or is it like more like a kind of business kind of relationship, or is it a person that has something interesting to offer? I'm not talking about business here. I'm talking about an interesting story, a life story. Like behind every conversation, there can be something wonderful. It can be like your next big love, your next big venture, your next big, I don't know, summer romance, like approaching everything like openly and asking like these more exciting questions also for us, because we if we're honest, we hate small talk. That's the worst thing for me.
Mic drop. Yeah, me too. My biggest nightmare is just like hop in the elevator and have someone be like talk about the weather or ask me how I'm like, and just fine, how are you? And that's that, yeah, I hate it. It would please
Yeah,
stop with
yeah,
it.
yeah, but this is
Oh,
also the thing that people don't understand, which I also had with my family, because they were also like, can we not have like a normal conversation? Because I was always wanted to talk about like a certain topic, and I'm like, you cannot imagine how exhausting a conversation about absolute uninteresting topics is for my brain. Like I'm sorry, I'm on the height for excitement, and like I'm more tend to bore out than to burn out, you know. And then like, no, I don't need this. But
it's
yeah,
painful.
it's still like you also have a couple of people then reacting like if you're asking more like this kind of deeper question, they're like, no, he's not. Okay, fine, but you have a lot of people that are opening up, you're getting a joke, it's like, it's good, and it's giving you, like as I said, also this kind of everything is coming with repetitions. Like train it in like a small circle, maybe with a friend, like these kind of things. Do some role plays or something at the beginning, um, and then like start to increase this a bit. And with every conversation, you're getting better and better and better. And these things are not kicking in because you equipping yourself with the right tools to react in the right way in the right situations. You know, like you're reducing the kind of possibilities that can happen that could throw you off. It's like, as I said before, like there are so many things that happened or conversations I had. It's like, yeah, going in every conversation like super open. And if it's also getting a little bit like too negative or something, I know how to stop this kind of things, or also communicating quite clear, like, sorry, I don't have mental capacity for these negative things. That's also really back to the honesty and saying also no, and letting people know what are your clear rules and what needs to be in place for you, that you can be the best version of yourself. And everybody that likes you will respect these things. And since I'm also doing this, I have the feeling my relationships increase a lot, like in like the kind of strength of the relationship and so on. So yeah.
Yeah, and it'll make you more memorable if you're at, even if it's a party or a, I don't know, an event, a networking event, people will remember the guy who asked the weird question, because they didn't see it coming. So it's a win-win. Now, Chris, I don't want to take much of your time. I know you're super busy, but before we close off, if someone's listening to this today and only had to take away one thing from everything you said or something you didn't mention, what would that be?
The only person you need to make proud is your future self. Mark this, underline it, tattoo it in your brain, and think about this every day when you're waking up in the morning. this is, in my opinion, the path to happiness.
I love that. I love it. I always think about my future self. Because sometimes we lose sight of it. It's like we depersonalize it, but it's ourselves. So
yeah, like I think true happiness and freedom lays in the fact that we are just getting rid of trying to fulfill the expectation of other people. If you're like doing everything to making your future self happy, everything else will follow. And really the people that love you and like you will support you. And like people have to get rid of the fact that they have to fit in everywhere. This is not the case. Like I'm also not asking anybody in my life or like partner or something like about like, hey, please change for me. Like I will do my way. We will figure out like a way how things are working. But I got rid of all the expectations from other people, you know, like I was really like focusing on myself. And with this kind of mindset, you're getting more happy. And if you are more happy, you can be better to your parents, to your siblings, to your grandparents, to the people around you, to the homeless person in the city, I don't know, to somebody in the bus, in the public transport, you know, like you can give so much back to society. And so yeah, it's basically then it's two things, like make your future self proud and get rid of the external expectations. It's about you in the first place. This is not egoistic. This is the path to be like a good person for everybody and living in a happy and fulfilled life, in my opinion.
another mic drop for Chris. Chris, thank you so much for coming. I'm taking down. I'm gonna revisit this episode and take down notes. I don't do this very often, but I'm actually gonna do this because, like, especially the prompts and everything. I'm like, oh, I need to write so many prompts. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with the people listening, and for the people listening, thank you for being here. I almost forgot. Where can people find you?
So yeah, they can basically find me on Instagram under Chris Sorg ADHD coaching. They can find me with my name on LinkedIn. So these are the platforms where I'm the most active currently. And I had a great strategy session this week. So make sure maybe to follow also on Instagram, because there will be new content formats coming in the future. Maybe we can also collaborate on this one in the future. But yeah, these are the two platforms. And also happy if anybody has questions. I'm always happy to, like, I don't know, if I'm receiving a message, hey, you said there something like, how did you mean this? Or like, can you share a prompt with me? Just text me. It's all about like helping other people and providing value to people. So you're all invited.
Love that. We'll leave everything in the show notes for everyone. Again, thank you, Chris, for coming, and thank you for everyone listening.